You know what my Christmas wish is? That I could see each and every one of you as you watch Aquaman, because boy, are you going to be surprised. I so wish that I genuinely could share that experience with you. But I'll take the second best thing, which is you sending in your picks for the ticket montage for Movie Math when you do see the film. You might want to take the picture once you get out of the theater, because I think you're going to be in a very different mood. Yes, Aquaman is a movie that has to be seen to be believed. Because on paper, yeah, it don't look like much. I mean, the trailers have been really fantastic, but I understand. There's skepticism. You've got Jason Momoa, Amber Heard, and a franchise on the ropes with, let's be fair, in large part, only itself to blame. Well, I don't think that's totally true. Some people have been pretty mean to DC, and if anyone has anything bad to say about Aquaman, well, then they're still harboring some of the old DC hate, because there's absolutely nothing that you could legitimately hate about this movie. Because what a comeback! And I do mean comeback. It is shocking for me to have these words come out of my mouth, but I'm going to say it. Aquaman is a better film than even Wonder Woman nailing the third act. And I would even go so far as to say it's the best DC movie since The Dark Knight. And, you know, The Dark Knight was very much, Batman. And while, I can't say that Aquaman is very much Aquaman because the comics have never been like this. This is such an amazing, I've seen people make comparisons to Black Panther. I think Aquaman is very much its own thing. But if you're going to make a comparison, there's the comparison. Both movies elevate the source material to be something far greater than it ever initially was on the page. Like, this is Aquaman. I can't believe they made Aquaman cool. Now, speaking of third acts, they've been a CGI mess lately. And speaking of Black Panther and Wonder Woman, this is something that not just DC is guilty of. But Aquaman is like 80% CGI throughout, and it is the most beautiful movie I have ever seen. You know what occurred to me while I was watching this movie? This must be what it was like for people who watched Avatar and enjoyed that movie. I hated Avatar, but every time you would talk to someone, they'd be like, I just love being in Pandora. And that was me during this movie. I just liked being in this world. I mean, there's so much more to it than that, but that's a big part of it. I like being on the surface world and in the ocean. Both places were great. Why can't we all get along, everybody? It's a resort everywhere. Aquaman is everything that you love about the ocean or being by the ocean personified, and who doesn't love the ocean? I'm sure some smart aleck is like, I don't like the ocean. You're lying. Everyone likes the ocean, and that's what this movie is. Now, also, the ocean here is straight out of The Little Mermaid, and if I were Disney, every single frame of this movie would infuriate me. Not just because it has major Epcot vibes, even down to an environmental message, which I thought was made quite effectively, but also, I don't see how they can possibly top this ocean fantasy adventure with their upcoming Little Mermaid. Aquaman even has a redheaded underwater princess who looks an awful lot like Ariel. She even has a pink ball gown. It's also pink, and it's absolutely stunning. Oh, it was so gorgeous. Let's just say it has some jellyfish in it. Now, I don't know if the jellyfish are sentient. They might be like, this is a weird gig, right? Just hold on to Amber Heard. But it was worth it. It was gorgeous. The Barbie doll that they had come out a couple of weeks ago does not do it justice. Now, this princess also has amazing Elsa-like powers that are brought to life with amazing believability by an amazing VFX team. Now, just like I said that Spider-Verse was an evolution in animation, wow, what a time to be a comic book fan, right? It is an embarrassment of riches. But Aquaman is an evolution in VFX storytelling. Quite frankly, I have never seen anything like it. Wow! I know you're probably like, I just can't believe it. But like with Spider-Verse, it's true. DC is back. The fire is relit. Now, I gotta focus on Aquaman though, but it does get you awfully excited for the future. I was thinking Justice League while watching this movie. I'm like, this is how you do it. 1-1-1, and then the team. All right, anyway. Along with the VFX, the real star of this movie is James Wan. who, like the most skilled conductor, has created a visual and audio symphony. I love the soundtrack. When I got out of the press screening, I immediately went to iTunes to try and purchase it, but it wasn't available yet. But as soon as I can buy it, I'm buying it. It's like Blade Runner good. James Wan had a couple weird music choices. One was like super like right out of Fast and Furious, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. I would have preferred that it had been all just like original score, but it was fun, and some of the music choices were clever. But I can tell you they were sparing. I'm not quite sure how I feel about using some of the songs that they did, but you can share your thoughts on that down below. But the way that every element, and there are so many elements here, which makes it all the more impressive, but how every element seamlessly and effortlessly comes together is awe-inspiring. And with the bright colors, upbeat tone, and sense of wonder, well, then I would actually say that the mantle of Steven Spielberg belongs to James Wan. Sorry, JJ. And like a good filmmaker should, and this is something we've also been talking about a lot lately, Wan, unlike others, protects his actors. Because Jason Momoa and Amber Heard, this movie didn't like reinvent them. They're still B-level talent, and that's putting it generously. And I know that they're a huge stumbling block for a number of people that I've talked to with going to see this movie. They're like, really? Jason Momoa? Amber Heard? I don't know. But this is where James Wan's brilliance comes in, because to their credit, Momoa and Heard are both taking this opportunity very seriously. They're giving it their all. And they trust their director, as they should, because Wan works incredibly hard to make them both look the best they ever have visually. They both just look gorgeous that they ever have. And they're good-looking actors, but they just look stunning, like unreal. It's amazing. Like the hair off here was like, there was a scene on the plane when they were, Jason Momoa and Amber Heard were talking, and I was like, can we just stop and appreciate both of your hair for a moment there? Because it is amazing. But on top of that, Wan and the screenplay, and one of the writers is a Wan guy, they tailor their characters to fit Momoa and Heard, rather than the other way around as is usually done. Instead of asking the actors to act and to become other characters, they're like, how can we make Aquaman and Mira more like Jason Momoa and Amber Heard? Let's come to them. And as a result, you might be like, well, that's not the way it's supposed to go. Well, these are the stars that James Wan was handed, and I think it says a lot to his talent and his business sense that he was like, well, these are my stars, I'm gonna make it work. And make it work he does, because by the end of the film, I would say that they are Aquaman and Mira to the same extent that Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman. And she also has amazing hair. Wow, I think we're finding a DC trademark here. Now, they are also given an excellent assist by Patrick Wilson, who actually has some bad hair moments in the movie. Let's just say, as an Atlantean, his hair does not appreciate being on the surface world. But anyway, he's a very, very good actor, and he makes for a very charismatic villain. Loved Ocean Master. Nicole Kidman also does a fantastic job in a small but pivotal role. We'll talk about it more in the spoiler review. And Willem Dafoe is Willem Dafoe. He's worked for so long, and he's now been in more than one comic book movie. I actually, for a moment while watching it, thought, what must life be like for Willem Dafoe? I'm sure that this is not the career he had expected. But, he's still very strong artistically, just nominated for a Golden Globe. So, you do you, Willem. It's working. I also want to give a shout out to the actors who were playing Aquaman at younger ages. Extremely charismatic. Really did a lot to make you love the character even more. And again, they put Momoa in his element, so he became, he started out a little wonky, but eventually he became incredibly likable in the role. Now, speaking of starting out a little bit wonky, unfortunately, this movie is not perfect. And the first 15 to 20 minutes are rushed. Just to tell you the moment where I was like, you know what, this movie's great, was when they were in the bar. When those guys come up to confront Aquaman in the bar. That was the turning point for me, where I was like, this movie's amazing. Because I was a little skeptical up until that point. Because I would say that the acting wasn't so great, but I think the acting is not so great because the script is poor. I mean, it's very rushed and the exposition is not well done. In fact, I would say it reads like a bad comic book. If you're a comic book reader, you know the type of comic book I'm talking about. Wan tries to make it work to his credit by having the camera constantly moving and flowing like water, like lots of long takes, and 1 minute an actor's there, but as the camera pans, suddenly they're there, to show the passage of time. And I admire what Wan was trying to go for, but it doesn't quite work, largely again because the words are still cringe. Exposition is hard. That's why Die Hard, all these years later, is still a famous movie, because it's so good at exposition. And while the fight scene on the sub in the beginning, also in that first 15 to 20 minutes, is well done and a lot of fun. Like, at that point I was like, well, at least the movie's fun, even though it's not well written or well acted. But, you know, I told you, eventually, right after this, it got there. And even there were moments there, like what Aquaman says, I don't want to give any spoilers away, but what Aquaman says to Black Manta's father, it was brief, but I thought it was very powerful and effective. He had a couple of things to say there. That crucial scene, Aquaman did have some good lines. But overall, the setup between, Black Manta and his father was also rushed, sloppy, and too on the nose. Like, really? Like, nobody talks like that. It was not good. In fact, Black Manta is sadly the movie's one weak spot. And they never really... I thought for a moment they were just going to call him Manta, and I was like, oh, that's a good idea. I don't know why I decided to put the black in front of it. It was a little awkward. Or maybe they'll explain. I think you'll see what I'm talking about when you see the film. But the character is so amazingly brought to life from the page that he still holds promise. I wish that I could say that Yahya Abdul-Mateen II also won me over, but I thought that he could not overcome the problems with the script, unfortunately. And that's weird. I guess, he doesn't have as much time as Jason Momoa and Amber Heard, as much screen time to make up for some of the bad moments. Black Man is not in this movie very much. But anyway, once again, the DCEU has promise. And I hope that Mr. James Wan decides to stick around. After all, not only did he put one of his writers on this, but the Shazam director, David F. Sandberg, is also his guy. Wan is the hero we need and deserve. Oh, I want him to stay so badly. I'm sure there are other things that he wants to do with his career, but I'd see what his price was to stay here for a while, because he really makes a huge difference. And again, I know some of you are still probably skeptical listening to this review. Oh, it's just because you're a comic book fan, Grace. Anyone would enjoy this movie. As I said at the beginning, Aquaman needs to be seen to be believed. And you, quite frankly, I think you'd be crazy to miss it. So take a leap of faith and dive in. And don't forget to send me your ticket for the Movie Math ticket montage. The instructions are down below in the video description. And so that's my review, my non-spoiler review of Aquaman. My spoiler review will be coming soon. And save your spoilery comments for that video. I mean, this isn't really a very spoilery movie. There are no other, don't get excited for other DC cameos or DCU conversation. There's not anything that I could even I didn't see anything. I mean, if it's there, it's extraordinarily subtle. So this is more just about having this experience and going to this world, but still save the spoiler comments for then. I also think that's why the release strategy might be okay, because I don't think you can't. I mean, and I've heard that there are bootleg copies of this film already because it opened in China. But if you do that, you're really cheating yourself out of something special. And if you're not into think Avatar. I would actually say this is like Avatar, which makes its release date in the United States also make a little more sense. It's something you just have to see, at least once. But I bet a number of you are going to see it more than once, including me. All right, so that's my review. Again, share your thoughts down below. And of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.